Welcome back. Today doing a bit of basic kayak fishing. Not have the Hobie, I've got the old kayak, paddling out, one rod, bit of bait, a net, a bit of DIY anchor going on. So something pretty much anyone can do out of any kayak. We're just going to target some whiting, so don't need fancy gear, got no sounder. I'm just looking for sand holes and see what we can catch. Alright, so I'm looking in the water, trying to find some sand, a bit of broken ground, some weed. So I don't want to just be fishing just on weed. It's a bit hard for you guys to see because you don't have the polarized sunglasses on, so that is a good thing to do. You can get pretty cheap ones. Obviously if you spend the money, you can get some really good ones. They'll help a lot more, but I've got a cheap pair on right now. See what it looks like, and you can still see the bottom slightly. Definitely helps if I stop paddling, just stop disturbing the top of the water. But it's looking a little bit weedy, so it's a bit broken, but I wouldn't mind a bit brighter. There's a bit more of a sand hole there. So I'm going to anchor up kind of roughly here. Good thing is you can cast out, and if I'm still on the weed I can do a little move anyway, but thinking this will do me. So put me paddle there, got my DIY anchor, so yeah, kind of an interesting anchor. Got it at the back. That looks like it's down. I can see my anchor. It's grabbed in. Wind's picked up a little bit. We'll see. We should be able to swing around. Got our bait here. Bit of squid. The other day. What else we need? Grab our pliers out. Our knife. And go the bigger sinker. Finally caught something. That is a tiny wrasse, or grass whiting. Very small one. Little grassy. Get him on his way. We're doing a bit of a drift to try to find some fish at the moment. Alright. At least we are on the board now. We're just drifting around. Now the sun's up, I should be able to hopefully see some sand holes a bit better. It's been pretty quiet for me. Tyler's caught a few with his burley. We don't have burley as we're just doing the basics, so doing a bit of a drift. Try to find some fish before we anchor. We hooked up to something decent on the drift. Oh. Holy Lord. It's a good King George. That's what we want. There we go. First one. Well, I think we found a spot that we might anchor near. Not a bad one, not a bad one. He's like 34. Should be nice. Just anchored up in roughly where we caught that other whiting. Oh, them little bites though. That other whiting was a good bite straight after I'd cast it out on the drift. If we don't get anything for a little bit, we'll get back on the drift. Alright, my anchor placement was poor. It's definitely a lot of weed down here, so I'm going to do a little shuffle. Hopefully we can find the sand patch that I caught that whiting from. So I was just casting around at them. But getting that anchor line and knowing where you're going to sit takes a little bit of practice. So I'll pull that in and try and get in a better zone. Alright, the drift hasn't worked that much. Sun's come up a bit, it's got a bit of kick to it. I've got a mark on my Navionics app. I'm just going to try and get to there. I don't know when I got that mark, but probably means it's meant to be a whiting zone, so got that out. We'll pedal up there and have a crack around there. I know once I get to there it's a bit more of a drop off from the weed and sand patches, so once we get out there we can also have a bit more of a drift too, a bit more of the muddy and a bit more weed, but more broken up, not thick weed patches. So we'll have a crack once we get there. Alright, I'm just going to go through what I've brought out here. A pretty basic kayak setup. So I've got my bait here, knife. I always bring a knife, so I put that in my hatch before. Within here I didn't bring a lot of stuff, it's pretty basic. I have, that's a piece of the wheel trolley that you don't need. My phone, which I usually keep in a dry bag. Got a squid jig, I've got a sinker or two extra. Here I've got my line and extra hooks and swivels, and some food up the top there too. So you can stack that with more stuff anyway, but keeping it pretty simple for today. Then I've got my one rod. Now you can get forward facing rod holders, which is handy. That would be a good thing. That is a mount for one. You could put another one on the other side, but the kayak does have two backwards facing ones behind your seats there, so you can sit it there. Now I've got my DIY anchor. I'd suggest getting a real anchor with a bit of rope. Anchor trolley is also a really nice thing to get. And I've got my net to catch some fish, and then I've just got an esky that fits in here with some frozen ice blocks. I also can put my water bottle in there. At the moment I've actually got it up the front here. GoPro sitting there. Then I've got the paddle, and I've got a paddle leash on there, so if anything happens to it, oh no, I've lost my paddle. It's still here, so that's handy. Definitely have one of those, because that can get you out of a sticky situation. And obviously I'm wearing my life jacket, that way if I go in, I'm floating. It is one of the wets or the jet ski kind of material ones. In Victoria you only need one of those. Check wherever you're from what the rules are around life jackets. So, but I feel more safe in one of these than say one of the inflatable ones that I've got to pull the cord and actually inflate in. So if I fall out, I know I can swim around and do whatever in this anyway, get back in, and well, just a few of these things like this, my knife. Oh, I forgot, I've also got a set of pliers, so you can cut line and pull out hooks. You can get them on a bit of a leash if you're worried about losing them. So, but I've got that just down in my seat, and that's pretty much all I have on here. Very nice, simple way to go out and catch a couple of fish for a feed. It's not fighting very hard. Oh, a flatty. It's not the worst flatty either. Is that a rock flatty? Yes. Tastiest flatty around. Just tank it up in the zone. Oh, yes, the old rocky flathead. Really tasty fish. His size. Oh, I hope there's a few of them around. Booyah. Delicious. He's just got to be 27, but he looks way better than that. Big 37 dog. That's actually such good. They get real fat, round, like fillets. They're round. They're not really a flathead. Look at them. It's like round as, but you get really nice fillets off them. Okay, so it's a pretty simple, basic way that you can get out in a kayak is if you've got a fishing rod and catch some fish. So I've done a couple of methods, drifting and anchoring. If you don't have an anchor, you can always drift and you can find some fish. You can also use lures while you're doing that, and you might catch a few more fish that way as well. But always remember to look at the conditions, know what you can handle. If you're starting out, stick closer to the shore, get used to your kayak, get used to the conditions and what you're doing first before you start heading out further. But this is a nice simple way that you can always catch a feed. So really nice, especially on a day like today. I know the conditions and this area pretty well. It's not very a high flow zone. I know I'm going to be pretty safe. So always remember to tell someone too if you're heading out and what time roughly you're going to be back in, or you can always message them when you think. That way they know if anything happens about that time, they might have to come and search for you. So anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. Nice quick little one, how you can catch a little feed in a basic kayak.